Hi, everybody. I'm Drew Gurevitz, CEO of Velocity Network Foundation, and I have with me today Rosie Rivel, Chief Information Officer at Kelly, a global leader in workforce solutions. And we're here to talk about Kelly, Velocity Network, and all things blockchain for HR. So, Rosie, thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you, Drew, for inviting me. Glad to be here.
Fantastic. So, why don't you start with presenting yourself and how do you find yourself in the workforce solution space?
Well, I've been fortunate enough to be working for Kelly now for the last 11 years. I was attracted to Kelly for its noble purpose, connecting talent to opportunities in ways that enrich their lives. And I think that that's a pretty great motivation for me, and now leading the IT organization at Kelly.
And your whole career was at IT and information
Always within the information technology space, yes.
Okay, right. So could you describe Kelly in a few sentences? Just the life that you're touching, the regions you're operating in, what type of services you provide?
Certainly, absolutely. So Kelly connects talented people to companies in need of their skills in areas including science, engineering, education, contact center, light industry, and more. We're always thinking about what's next in evolving the world of work, and we help people ditch the script on old ways of thinking and embracing the value of all work styles in the workplace. So we directly employ nearly 370,000 people around the world, and we connect thousands more with work through our global network of talent suppliers and partners in our outsourcing and consulting practice as well.
And essentially, Kelly is one of the top 5 largest workforce solution providers.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. So, what made Kelly join other HCM and education Titan companies to participate in the Velocity Network?
Well, there's a multitude of reasons. We saw this on the horizon as a future digital disruptor, if you will. But as of now, there's a lot of things that have accelerated that, such as the pandemic, recognizing that, and the GDPR would be another one. We just recognize that talent needs to control their data. They want to be able to have a little more autonomy with who they share that with. And with the pandemic, the need for ensuring vaccinations have been provided to talent, depending on how and what they pursue in terms of their job may require that. So I think that having this self-sovereign career identity will facilitate that significantly.
Yeah, but I mean, Kelly is big enough to fund its own solution for verifiable credentials. What made you join the group that created that movement behind Velocity Network, deploying that notion of Internet of Careers? Why not do that on your own?
Well, I think the value for finding a standard or a multi-industry standard is going to drive better adoption. The democratization of that data drives the real value to all the stakeholders, the talent, the clients, and certainly staffing organizations like Kelly. So it's not necessarily driving a proprietary solution where there is value. It's recognizing that the adoption of this standard will be a benefit to all.
And Kelly was part of the process that was run by the World Employment Confederation Blockchain Task Force.
Correct.
We were exploring solutions that will be relevant for the staffing industry, coming together as the staffing industry leaders to create a solution that would be used across the staffing industry. And eventually you decided, to move beyond that and join other stakeholders in the employment business deploying this that Internet of Careers.
Yes.
Again, what made you do that? I mean, why select Velocity Network over other solutions out there?
Yeah, well, we saw that Velocity Network Foundation had already established a great infrastructure of multinational cross-industry representation. So it could easily build not only the critical mass that they've established with that partnership and the collaboration of all these companies, but also driving that adoption. And so the acceleration of that adoption can happen by that within that type of forum. Establishing a separate proprietary solution makes it that much harder to not only build interoperability and confirming that, but we want to make that experience seamless for our stakeholders across all of our organizations. And by doing that, it made sense to join Velocity, again, for the same reasons I just mentioned.
And would the and what role did the fact that Velocity Network is uniquely structured, so it's completely decentralized, owned by no single entity,
Right.
infrastructure is decentralized, governance is decentralized. So what role was that fact played in your decision to join?
Because I think that by that structure, it created less friction around the transactional aspects being required to share the blockchain for our talent. It didn't create artificial barriers. And so therefore, the adoption and the utilization and the ability to promote the usage of blockchain across these organizations that are participating in Velocity makes it that much easier. And that is the value that we bring respectively to all of our customers and talent. So it's a very unique structure, which again, it drives value directly to the talent and therefore to the clients by removing the barriers of entry.
And it's also a safe space for a fierce competitor to basically join forces and share a utility layer while competing fiercely on top of it, right? Because no single entity has its finger on the kill switch. No single entity can put restrictions on usage. It's free, it's open, right? So it's like the internet. No one really controls the internet, and no single entity can put restrictions on the internet.
That's exactly right. And so that therefore that even though I represent Kelly, and there are other staffing organizations that have joined Velocity, we are recognizing that the differentiator isn't in the utility layer. It is sitting above it. And that's where we bring our unique services and skills to our customers, is really of the layer above in the services we provide.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. Well, this is a good segue to your plans as far as the benefits to your constituency, your customers, the job seekers you represent, the contingent workforce that you employ.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about this and describe the time horizon where these would be launched to the market?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you know, as our world is trying to emerge from the COVID times, it's more difficult now than ever finding best qualified talent to fit the demand for open positions around the world. So we'd like to bring this forward as soon as possible to again remove the friction in finding the best qualified talent to fill our open positions, and creating that frictionless, or at least lesser friction within our process. So if we can if we can get the talent to and our customers to accept the blockchain, that is our intent. We are positioning this as a future state release for one of our products called Helix, as another step in our movement towards a total management solution for our customers. So this is something definitely we're looking forward to doing within the next 12 months.
That's amazing. So to be honest, maybe you will disagree, but I don't think there was real disruption and innovation to the workforce solution space for a long time now.
Correct.
Um, Everything was marginal. Even the AI, machine learning, buzzword revolution
Yes.
did not really move the needle. It seemed to me like this is a real chance to create something completely different when it goes to the speed to hire,
Yes.
the frictionless interaction between candidates and employers, the trust, the the zero error in terms of compliance and so on.
That's correct. Absolutely. And what will be the biggest challenge beyond this is the harmonization of the credentialing requirements. We
Correct.
potentially, if we can, that would then be the only, I would say, challenge is how do we start to harmonize and rationalize that across industry, across geography, so that we can, but even despite that, this credentialing process is still going to optimize to the extent that those requirements are harmonized. So that's a great segue to trying to push for more harmonization across our countries and our industries.
Yeah, correct. So a smart person, told me once, everything is personal. So what is your personal vision here? Not necessarily the Kelly's vision. Your personal take on this space, what attracts you personally to this whole self-sovereign identity, career identity space, and what is your vision 10, 15 years from now?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say that, what personally motivated me to join this, not just on behalf of Kelly, but also my personal interest, is the fact that the democratization of the data and the autonomy of my data and owning my data as an individual, that's very empowering. So I appreciate the ability to do that and not leave it up to data clearing houses, et cetera. I think that's very important for the workforce of the future to have that kind of empowerment. 10 to 15 years from now, I hope to still be working in this space, but finding future disruption and disruptive technologies, because that is exciting. One of my personal mottos is life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And so I definitely enjoy the disruptive space a lot.
Fantastic. So, I can really relate to your motivation. I think, and I was talking to my dad, and he reminded me that, just a couple of decades ago, people were smoking in airplanes,
Yes.
right? And I mean, it sounds insane now that people will literally light fire in a tin box that flies, that full of materials that can,
Highly flammable.
yeah, highly flammable, that is literally flying in the sky, right? Not to talk about the health hazards. So I think that 20 years from now, our kids will say, or that generation will say, really, you literally gave your most private information for free to platforms and to be stored and processed and monetized by,
Oh yeah.
platform. It will sound insane to them. It's a ridiculous architecture, ridiculous situation where I give my data to this these platforms, data hoarders, employment marketplaces, without any way of controlling it, right? And I think that would be the situation, a decade from now. So, yeah, last question for you. Since we're coming to the end of our conversation, what would be your personal message to the labor market stakeholders in this context?
Yeah, I would say similar to what I've mentioned, you know, be bold to try something new, be willing to pilot this and understand how this will change your process and optimize it for the better. I think it requires someone to advocate for this technology within each of their respective organizations and trust that, yes, it will create some disruption, but a good disruption in a way that will benefit their internal, external stakeholders and their talent. So I definitely would advocate for this.
Fantastic. Well, this is us. This is it for us on this session. Thank you so much, Rosie. It was super interesting, and I really enjoyed it.
Yes,
We'll probably be talking very soon. So thank you, people, for tuning in. For more content and talks with thought leaders like Rosie, follow Velocity Network Foundation on social media. I was Drew Gurevich, CEO of Velocity Network Foundation. And this is it for us. Thank you very much.
thank you, Dror.